Hi folks, Barry here from Make It So Adult Fitness in Long Beach. Today's video, instead of being a normal how to exercise or a follow along video for an exercise routine, this is a demonstration video showing what you can do with different kinds of band equipment. The reason I'm doing this video is because of the coronavirus and everyone is locked in. It means we're not only locked in where we live, but we're locked out of the gyms that we're used to going to. But it's not just us, there's people all over the country. So this has caused an enormous demand for at-home type exercise equipment. The equipment I use is no different. The 41-inch resistance bands that I always use have finally come back in stock. I just got a notification the day before yesterday. But please remember, again, because of the increased demand, there's a lot of pressure on available stock. I was looking through Amazon and a few other websites this morning at a lot of other equipment, and everybody is still showing more things not available than they're showing being available. Not only has the high demand put a lot of pressure on stock, this is also exacerbated by the fact that all of these things are now made in China. So you have to deal also with the realities of time and distance in getting new shipments in. So that being said, where you normally could add new equipment as you needed it, and you get it a few days later, now it's really a question of giving some thought to what you'd like to have and then getting it while it's available against the reality of it not being available later, or at least not for quite some time. So again, this is a demonstration of what you can do with different kinds of resistance band equipment, so you can give some thought as to what you would like to have in your own personal home gym. So I'm going to kind of go all over the place, so excuse me if I stumble around a little bit. It'll never work from a script. So let's start with one single band. I've talked about this before, how you can get a pretty good workout using just one band. But having more than one band and having more than one level of resistance opens up a lot more possibilities. Those possibilities include not just increased resistance, but being able to move in different directions. If all you want to do is just go up and down or up and down, you can grab your laundry basket and load it up and go like that. Human movement is what we think about the way we move in real life, doing real life tasks. We spend very little time going up and down. We're always rotating, we're pushing, we're pulling, we're turning, we're twisting. So having more than one band opens up lots of other possibilities. But let's start with just the one band, because as I said, you can get a good quality workout using just one band. Now, I've demonstrated that in earlier videos, but I'm just going to kind of zip right through it just as a refresher. So this would be a shoulder press, a little easier shoulder press. Chest press. Squats. Hammer curls. Baling hay, which is like a reverse wood chop for the oblique abdominals. Doing the same thing on the other side. Exercises for the low back, exercises for general back. So as you can see, if you have just one band, you can exercise and you can get your whole body involved. But you'll also be limited to how you can increase resistance, meaning as your body adapts to the level of resistance you're working with, you're going to hit a plateau. You can break through the plateau by doing more repetitions, doing more sets, changing your hand position so that instead of stretching it from here, you're pulling it from down here. But that doesn't work as well as being able to move up to the next level band or adding a second band. But again, you get a good full body workout. You don't need more than the one single band. Door anchors we've talked about. We've talked about how to make your own. I prefer though that you use a regular professional door anchor. They're made out of ballistic nylon. They come in different configurations, but they're different configurations that are just variations on the same theme, which is a loop that you thread the bands through, and a stopper that goes inside of the door and it stops it from pulling forward. So you've got like that with that being the stopper. You've got like that with that being the stopper. Again, all variations on the same thing. We talked about taking the bandana, putting 2 knots down at the end and using the knots as the stopper. So those are things that are available to you. Here's the advantage of having 2 bands. If you have a door anchor, you can position the door anchor all the way up top. So your line of push is like that, or your line of pull is like this. You can do it about shoulder high, about waist high, hip high, knee high, and ankle high. Now, you do that just by repositioning this in the door. Just for the sake of brevity and being able to maintain a flow for the video, I'm going to take advantage of these loops, which are the exact same thing like the door anchors. So this would be if we wanted to do a bilateral. Bilateral means 2 arms or 2 legs at the same time, or parts that are attached to shoulders. If we wanted to do bilateral chest press, it would be like this. But this also opens up the possibility of being able to go like this, and like this, and like this. Or you can switch over to unilateral, and then seamlessly move over unilateral on the other side. You can do exercises like a fly. By the way, you can do that with 1 band. Also just do it unilateral, or what I call 1 hand clapping. And then the same thing going the other way. Bilateral row, step and rotate row, unilateral row. So that's using 2 bands with a door anchor. And again, you can reposition the door anchor to be higher, where I have it here, down around your hip, down around your knee, down around your ankle. And you have a different line of pull or a different line of push depending on which way you're facing. So these bands are all 41 inches long. This is a dynamic stabilizer. It's made out of the same material, but this is 13 inches. A dynamic stabilizer is used mostly for working your hips and thighs. Let me demonstrate. I always see people putting the dynamic stabilizer below their knees or down by their ankles. I don't agree with that. I think it's too much what's called a lever effect. I like it above the knees. Now there's a lot of resistance right now, or a lot of activation right here in my hips. So if I'm doing like squats as I'm coming down, your knees will naturally flare to the outside. I'm really working the hips. I bring my knee up. I'm really working the hip flexors. I bring it straight back. That's a hip extension. Also works the glute max. I can do lateral walking, really getting into the hips. So there's a lot that you can do with the dynamic stabilizer, but it's all centered down here. Here's another advantage of having multiple bands. I'm going to put this here like a bandolier. Do the same thing on the other side. Put this on this foot. This foot. I'm going to be careful standing because now I've got resistance that's going to want to pull me forward. Now I'm going to do a really great resisted squat. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's make it into a really great complex. Wow, and that's very powerful. Working everything from the ground up. Another great advantage to having multiple bands. In an ideal setup, you'll have 2 red bands and 2 orange bands. Here's what you can do. If you've been working with me in the gym, you know that as part of our warm-up, we do also some strength exercises, but that are more about not just strength, but mobility, acceleration, deceleration, stability. We do it with a long green band, 73 inches long. So here's 2 red bands and 2 orange bands. I have them attached to 2 more bands down here. From the gym, these will be familiar to you. If you've just discovered my website, welcome. These are called walkouts. I'm going to come back 8 steps fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 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 hold. This is stability. Now deceleration. Stand tall and lean back. Coming very slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like to do 3 sets of walkouts. Water ski squats. If you've ever water skied, or even if you haven't, you can picture what it looks like. You're standing behind the boat and you're holding on to the ski rope, and you're remembering the water skier's prayer, which just goes, Lord, just let this boat be faster than that shark, and please don't call me chum. Bad joke. The water ski squat, and by the way, if you want to use handles, I'll talk more about the handles in a moment. So for the water ski squat, your arms are straight. Sit down, stand up. I like to do 15. In the gym, we normally do 1 set. When I do this at home, I typically do 3 sets. Then we finish this drill with hose pull. Imagine a fire truck pulls up at the fire hydrant. The hose on the back of that truck isn't just thrown in there. It's kind of like folded into a long horizontal coil. So the firefighters will be kind of pulling it off of the truck. It's almost the same movement as doing like a tug of war. And then we'll do like this. Turn. Let's not forget low back and backs of the thighs. In the gym, you'll see weightlifters. They'll have a barbell. Barbell has the weights on the end, and they'll be. We do the same thing. I call it cuckoo bird, because if you remember a cuckoo clock, the bird comes out and goes cuckoo, cuckoo. And this one again will work the muscles in your low back. As you come up, you thrust your hips forward. Now you're working the hip flexors. You're also working the hamstrings. The cuckoo bird is like this. I won't use the handles only because it makes me go back too far. If you're doing it at home where you're not worried about the camera, I would use the handles. So again, arms are straight, you're not going to pull. Keep your legs straight, bend forward at the hips, come up, throw your hips forward at the top. Again, I would normally do a set of 15. When I do this at home, I do 3 sets. When we're doing it in the gym, we're doing it as part of our warm-up, so I typically do 1 set of each. So that's what you can do with 4 bands. So there's 2 red bands, 2 orange bands, and it's attached to a 3rd red band. Let's come back to the handles. Handles just snap right on. So this is a chest press. I like it with the bands under my arms. You can do it with the bands on top if you find the resistance is just a little bit too much. That way the arms take a little bit of a load. the muscles get more of a load when it's under. Two ways you can do it. You can do it with a split stance. Split stance is when you're standing like this. Parallel stance or horse stance or athletic stance is when your toes are aligned and your knees are soft. So this would be a chest press using a split stance. Lean forward. Remember, the reason that you want to lean, these are big rubber bands. Call them whatever you want. You can call them Barry's bands, strength bands, resistance bands. They're big rubber bands. So if you just stand tall, stand vertical, and you push it out, it's going to want to snap you back. And you remember the song, I fought the law and the law won? The band's of the law. So you want to lean. Now you're reallocating your body's natural tipping point, and you're more stable. So what? You want to do it as a complex. I love complexes. Let's do a squat chest press. Now we're going to a parallel stance. Squat, press. So not only are we working the whole lower body as well as the chest, the front of the shoulders, the back of the arms like we do with any chest press, we're also getting better core activation because your core muscles are going to work harder to keep you stable. That's one of their jobs. So this would be a squat chest press. Same thing in reverse. Split stance, or parallel stance, soft knees, row. We're ipsilateral, where we're going to step back and do a one-arm row. Ipsilateral means we're using the same leg, the same arm. So it's row, 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 row. This is a link strap. What a link strap does, it allows you to take two bands of the same length, and then we'll make it into one long band. Just keep wrapping it. By the time you have this all the way wrapped, I don't care how strong you are, you're not going to pull it apart. So now you have one very long band. Come back to the idea of that 73-inch, either the purple or the green band that I use in the gym. Let's get inside of the band. Now this is not a lot of resistance. If this is not just, if I was showing you the actual exercise rather than demonstrating what you could do with the band, then what I would have done, I would have combined two red bands and two orange bands for the extra resistance. Then I'm going to put it up here on my arms. Squat press. Squat row. Arm curl. You can use this with the handles also. Overhead triceps extension. Here's a great thing that you can do with this setup. Many people have lost mobility in their hips. This movement, by the way, is called hip hinge. When you go to sit down in a chair, if that chair is behind you, you wouldn't just bend your knees and come down like an up and down piston. Instead, you throw your hips out behind you and angle them at the seat cushion and come down. But in everyday use, we all remember how to do it sitting down, but for other things, we tend to be too tight, too stiff. So here's a great exercise for hip mobility. Again, this is something, especially seniors, that we tend to have lost over time. Go to the side. Go the other way. Put your hands here like guardrails so it doesn't slide off. The other side. Finally, Gypsy Rose Lee. Go around the other way. So those are different things that you can do with the bands that you have, and of course the bands that you have will determine what those things are. So I hope you found this useful. I'll be sending out an email that has the price list for the bands. Please follow my link to the Resistance Band store at the bottom of the email that I'm going to send you. By doing that, it's the same price, but by doing that, I'm also an affiliate for Resistance Band training, and if you make a purchase through my portal, then there's a record of it that I can see, so I know who has what equipment, so I know what kind of videos to create. There's no sense creating videos for products that nobody has. Okay? So that's it. My time's up, and I thank you for yours.